So then guys, today I want to show you how to install Mac OS Sonoma on an unsupported MacBook, iMac, Mac Mini, whatever Mac you have got from 2008 all the way up to 2017, because from I guess the 2017 Macs that are out there and onwards, that they are all supporting Sonoma anyway. And the great thing is, most, if not all, MacBooks and Macs and iMacs out there are fully supported, what is really, really great news. But the thing what I would actually just quickly say though, guys, to get started with this guide, what you will need is you will need a USB stick like I have got just here, and it needs to be at least 16 gigabytes with that USB stick that you have, and it needs to either have a USB-A end if your MacBook like this one here takes, or say if you do have a 2015 MacBook, what's like me just here right behind me on my wall, or let's say you have a 2016 MacBook Air, or say a MacBook Pro for example has USB-Cs, then obviously you will also need a USB-C end, one of them. The other thing I would also throw out there, guys, is that generally speaking, Sonoma works on any MacBook really well what is less than 10 years old. So I'm talking about machines that are 2013 and newer. Now obviously you can run in Sonoma on older MacBooks, but what I would say with that, say like for example you have a 2012 MacBook or 2010 or 2008 even, you need to have some few upgrades inside it. One of those first upgrades you'll need more RAM inside it. You will need at least 8 gigabytes of RAM. If you've got say 4 gigabytes of RAM inside one of those machines, those old ones, so yeah, like I said, if it's 2012 and older, you need to have more RAM. If your MacBook cannot have more RAM than that, I'd personally not recommend installing it. I'd probably say install say Ventura from last year instead, and there's a video on my channel about how to install that. And the other important part as well is you need one of these inside it. This is an SSD hard drive, not a normal spinny hard drive, an SSD hard drive. And again, I repeat, it has to be in a 2012 or older machine. If you have say a 2012 Retina or say a MacBook from say 2010 onwards, they have SSDs already inside of them, so you don't need to worry too much about that. But what I say again, make sure you've got at least 8 gigabytes of RAM and also an SSD, at least I'd say 64 gigabytes big, to actually put inside your MacBook as long as it's basically 12 years or 2012 and older. Anything newer, you don't have to worry too much about having these upgrades here. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to show you the story. Well, I'm going to show you the story and how I managed to get Mac OS Sonoma actually onto this MacBook Pro that I have right here. This is a 2015 MacBook Pro. It was the last one of this design, and I'm going to use this as the model that we're going to show how to install everything. And the thing what I would say is follow every instruction that I am saying in this video, because everything is needed and it will help you out. The other thing to also mention too is make sure you do a backup of all of your documents and everything like that. And the best way to do this, I would recommend, is doing a time machine backup, because just in case things go wrong and you need to revert back, at least you have a copy of all your data. So I will say this, I take no responsibility. If you do lose your data or anything like that, it's at your own risk. But if you did do a backup, it will help you out big time. And with that, guys, let's now get started. Let's move the camera closer then to this MacBook Pro, and let me show you how to install everything onto it. So, as I've already mentioned, you've got to make sure that you have done a backup, and I would advise using Time Machine actually on your MacBook. So run this, make sure you plug in an external hard drive, what is bigger, I would say, than the actual hard drive was built into your MacBook, and run that. Make sure you definitely do a backup of all your data, all your apps, just in case anything goes wrong, because you can then restore your MacBook back to where it was before. Obviously, it means you won't be able to update to Sonoma, but at least you've got all your data back. So yeah, on that note, the only other thing as well is, like I said, is it's got to be a MacBook that is beyond 2008 to make this work. And also, I would highly recommend that you've got an SSD inside your MacBook, and also at least 8 gigabytes of RAM also inside. So as you can see here, I've got 16 gigabytes of RAM. I've got an SSD inside this one, which is a flash storage 500 gigabytes. This was quite standard on this machine I've got here. What is the 2015 MacBook Pro that came out. So once you've got that, the other thing to also just mention very quickly is that you need to do a software update and make sure that you are on the most up-to-date version of macOS that your Mac can go on with everything updated. Make sure that is done definitely before moving on. So we can close all of this down. And after we've done that, what we want to do is we want to open up Safari or whatever browser you use. This could be Chrome, this could be Opera, whatever you use, Firefox. And we want to type in OpenCore. And then after that, we want to type in Legacy. So OpenCore Legacy into your search engine. And then after that, what we want to do is we want to go to this Dortania one here, the OpenCore Legacy patch. There might be other ones with different names further down, but the one that you really want to click on is the OpenCore Legacy patcher. And the way how you can tell is that this logo here will come up and you'll know that you're on the right page. So what we want to do is we want to click Get Started. And just to show you guys here, we do have here the support for Sonoma, telling you which versions of MacBooks and things like this, what will work with it. So have a good read through with that, because obviously there are some MacBooks that have been dropped and things like this, and there's also some extra patches that you may have to do, so do have a look around. But after that, what we want to do is we want to go to here, what is download and build macOS installers. We want to click on this, and then what we want to do is we want to go down a bit to this piece here that says creating the installer and click the OpenCore Legacy Patcher release, or the release apps. Click on that, I'll open up a new page, and then here we go. This is the latest version, was 1.01. There might be a newer version at the time of making this video, so whatever the latest version is, you want to scroll down and you want to download it. So what you'll have down here is you'll have two things. What we want to do is we want to actually download the one what's called the OpenCore Patcher GUI. So it has to have GUI in it, GUI, and we want to click on that one. And we want to allow the downloads from this website. That pop-up comes up, and there we go. We're starting the download. So depending on how fast your internet speed is, depends how fast this will take to download. So once that's all downloaded, we can close down Safari, what I'm going to do. And then what we can do is we can actually go to our downloads, well, either in this corner here, or if you have removed it, don't worry, we'll go the other way. It's in your Finder. Go to your downloads folder, look for the OpenCore Patcher, then double click on it. Now, you may get a security message, you may not. So we're going to find out if we get one here. It's just going to verify the install to see if it all installed okay. And there we go. It says here we open up from the internet. Do we want to open it? So I'm going to click open. And there we go. It's open. Now, if you do get another message saying we can't open this, you need to authorize it, the opening of this app. You go to settings here. And then what you'll do is you'll go to security and privacy. And then inside here, there will be something here what says, do you want to open up the OpenCore app? And you can allow it. You might have to put your password in to undo that. So you can see here, I'm just putting my fake password in, 1234. And as you can see, then I can start to change settings around. That's only if that pop-up comes up to say you've got to go into security and privacy. If not, don't worry about it. If you get this straight away, this page here, you're fine, you're ready to go. So what we want to do next of all is we want to build and install the OpenCore, and we also want to download the latest version of macOS 2. So the first thing we want to do is actually create the Mac OS installer. So we're going to click on this, and then we're going to click on download Mac OS installer. And then it will look for a list of different versions of macOS. So as you can see here, we've got Big Sur, Monterey, we've got Ventura, and then we've also got Sonoma. Obviously, we want Sonoma, the latest version, was version 14. So we're going to click download. And now we just leave this run to download. And again, depending on how fast your internet speed is, depends on how fast this downloads. The good news is it downloads directly from Apple's servers, so you don't have to worry about bugs, viruses, or anything like that. This is connecting directly back to Apple, and we can leave this run. So let this run, go make yourself a drink or something, and let it all download. Once this is all downloaded, obviously it's going to validate that install, that everything was downloaded correctly. Your fans might kick in like my ones have here, but don't worry, just leave this completely run to the end. And this may take some time depending on how fast your computer is or how old your computer is. So just let this run. So once this is all downloaded and validated, you might just have to put your password in. So I'm just going to put my fake password in here, 1234. Put in your password for your Mac. Click OK. And it's just going to extract the Mac OS now. And again, depending on how fast your computer is, I know I'm repeating myself, depends how long this will take to complete. Once this is fully completed and extracted, you'll get this pop-up here. It says create the macOS installer. And it's telling us, would we like to actually create this? And at this point, this is where you want to have your thumbstick ready, your USB pen. Make sure it's at least 16 gigabytes big inside it. It can be USB 3 like I've got right here. It can be USB 2.0. Obviously, if your MacBook supports 3.0 or USB 3, I would highly recommend doing that. And also, if your MacBook doesn't have a normal USB, you can always get one like I've got one here, a swivel one, for example. You can also get one with a USB-C end. So say you've got a 2016 model, for example, and you're looking to upgrade. So don't worry, you can use that too. Either way, a USB stick, at least 16 gigabytes. So let me plug that into my port here on the side, into my USB port. And next we're going to do is click yes. And now we're just going to wait now for the local machine macOS. There we go. It's just found it. So we're now going to click on install macOS Sonoma version 14.0. Like I said, you might be on 14.1, 14.2 by this point of watching this video. So don't worry. As long as it says macOS Sonoma at this point, that's the main point. So we're going to click on that. And then it's going to find our USB stick. Like I said, I've got a 64 gigabyte one right here. It's found it. And it's a USB 3.2 one. So I'm going to select on that. And then it's going to ask us that we're going to delete everything off this USB stick. So I'm going to say, yes, that's fine. So make sure you haven't got anything on your USB stick beforehand. Make sure you get everything off it. I'm going to click yes. And it might ask us for a password again, like it has. So I'm just going to put that in, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's my password? Whatever your password is, you just put that in. We click OK. And now we leave this run. Now, depending again, I'm going to repeat myself here, on how fast your MacBook runs at depends on how fast this will actually copy to the USB stick. And also, if you've got a USB stick, let's say USB 2.0 instead of 3.0 or 3.2 like I've got here, obviously it's going to be slower to put everything over onto that stick. So again, might want to make yourself another drink, pop away and come back a bit later. So we're going to leave this run. And again, what's going to happen is when this completes it, after it's written everything to it, it's going to re-verify everything again has been definitely recorded to that USB stick to make sure everything is on there correctly. So we're going to leave this run. If you do get a time machine backup thingy like this, just get rid of it. So I'm going to leave this run now. And once that's all completed, the validation, everything is done on the installer. It'll ask us this question here, if we want to install OpenCore to the disk. So we're going to click yes now. And what will happen is you'll get this kind of pop up, a new one here. It's going to add a load of bits and pieces. And what we're going to do is we're going to click install to disk. So I'm going to click on that here. It's going to find our local disks again. And what we're actually going to do this time is we're actually going to select here the actual Apple SSD here. So this is the one that's built into your computer. We want to select this one this time. So I'm going to select that. And it's going to select which EFI we're going to do. So it's only going to come up with the one. We're going to select on that one there. And it might ask us for our password. So I'm just going to put my 1, 2, 3, 4 in again, and whatever your password is. We're going to click OK. It's going to install everything. And then after that, what's going to happen is it's going to ask us to reboot. And what we need to do is hold down the Option key and select the OpenCore Boot EFI option. Now, I'm just going to move my camera quickly. And just to show you what the option button is, if it doesn't say it on your keyboard, it's this one right here. So I'll just put my finger there. That's a better finger to use, maybe. So it's between the control button and the command button. It's the one in the middle there. It might say Alt on it. It might say Option. So that is the one that we want to hold down. Not the one over here. This one over here on the left side. We want to hold that button there that says Alt or Option on it. So the best thing to do is to click reboot. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to do that box there, click restart, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down that Alt button. So let's just wait for it to close down. Hold it down. Keep holding it. And there we go. You should have this options now coming up here. So what we want to do is we want to select EFI boot. You do not want to select macOS Sonoma on this page. We want to click EFI boot there. It has a little arrow, so I'm just going to select that there. And then what we want to do is we want to click on the install macOS Sonoma option here. So I'm going to select that. Don't worry, we don't need to use the keyboard anymore to hold down any buttons. I don't need to instruct it. As long as you've done that, you've gone into EFI boot, select the Sonoma option. It should now start to boot. You can see here down the bottom, we do have the line coming across. Again, my famous thing I'm going to say, depending on how fast or how new or how old your MacBook is, depends on how fast this will take to actually finish here to move over. So I'm going to let this run to the end. And there we have it. We are now on this main screen here. Now, depending on if you've got say a Retina display or not with the MacBook that you're using to record, things might get a bit smaller. They might look bigger than the things here on the screen. So I do have to apologize about that. But this is your chance now. If you do want to actually wipe your hard drive clean and start again, you can do this. So I am saying this now. Only do this instruction if you want to actually wipe your hard drive off. So you want to delete everything off your computer. So what you want to do for that is to go to Disk Utility, click Continue, and then what you want to do is you actually want to select your macOS volume. What's this one over here? And then what you can do is you can click the Erase button, and then you can actually erase it. And it might take a minute or so to do that, but I'm not going to erase that. I'm going to do an upgrade, but if you were going to, you just click Erase. After that, you get a button that says Done, and then you're all erased on your hard drive. But like I said, if you want to keep your documents, you don't want to delete everything, don't do this bit, okay? So just click Cancel if that is the case, and we'll come back out. If you do obviously erase your hard drive and everything, you're back to this page like this, and this bar won't exist. It'll just be empty, and then you can just click on your cross, and then you're back at this screen here. So we're going to click on Next, and we'll install macOS Sonoma. So I'm going to click on Continue. And then you'll get this pop up here, and we want to click Continue again. And it might take a second or two for this to move on to the next phase. And then you'll get a terms and conditions come up, as you can see right here. So I'm going to click Agree on those terms and conditions. So I do that. And then obviously it says, do I agree to them? I click Agree again. And then obviously where we want to install this is onto the macOS hard drive that we have. So I'm going to click Continue. And now we can just leave this run. So we're going to leave this totally run now on its own. We do not have to press any buttons on the keyboard or anything like that. We just let this run with the USB stick inside. And what might happen is the actual MacBook might restart a couple of times with this. And we might get a page, what I'm going to show you in a second, just to give you some confidence what's going on, that you know you're on the right steps. But we just want to leave this be now and complete to the end on here, and also when it reboots on those different pages. So let's leave this run for a while. So after about 4 or 5 sort of restarts and everything, what should happen is your MacBook or your Mac, whatever you're installing Sonoma on, should actually restart for the first time. Like we can see right here, the line's just going over now. And I think we're going to actually get to the main sort of screen here once this just moves over. Like I said, 4 or 5 times it might take to restart. And there we have it. As you can see here, we have my Mac. And, you know, as I said, my password was 1234. So I'm going to put that back in. And I should be able to get straight into where I was again. Now, obviously, if you have wiped your hard drive, you will have to go through that whole initiation thing, or connecting to your Wi-Fi for the first time, putting in your iCloud information if you want to do that, and all of those sort of good bits and pieces too. But obviously, the first time you're going to log into Sonoma, it's going to take a while like it is here. And depending again how old your computer is or how powerful it is, depends on how long this will take. So let's just give it a second or two, and I think we're just about to complete, and there we have it. So we are now actually on macOS Sonoma. Now what you want to do is just leave it for a minute while all the little background bits and pieces install. You can hear my fans whirring up there, but what I will also mention is that you'll want to wait for a pop-up to come up from OpenCore, because it's to finish the actual install. So give it a minute or two and wait for the pop-up. You might have to maybe wait 10 minutes, I don't know, it depends on how fast your computer is, but just be patient. A pop-up will come from OpenCore on your screen, so just leave that for a while. Just in case if the pop-up doesn't appear, what you can always do is go back to your OpenCore, what you had before, you downloaded, or reinstall it again if you've wiped your hard drive. Go back to the beginning of this video on how to reinstall this again. But what we want to do is we want to click on this button here, what's called the post-install root patch. So I'm going to select that. And then basically what we want to do is we want to start the root patching. So I'm going to select this to actually do that. When we're going to click yes, it's going to ask us for our password. So I'm just going to put that in right here, click OK, leave this run. And there we go. It's just going to install some bits and pieces. Like my one needs a graphical, you know, these graphics, hard drive bits and pieces, drivers and keks and things like this. Obviously update my wireless, my FaceTime camera. You can see lots of bits and pieces it's doing, and it just tells you what it's going on here. Even it says down here, this may take some time. So depending on what version you are on, what Mac you've got, this actual legacy patch will figure all of that out, and we can just leave it run to the end. And there we go, we're completely done. So it's going to ask us to reboot. So I'm just going to select that. I'm going to click restart. So I'm just going to let this restart one more time. And if you do get this come up, just leave it for the moment. It will automatically select your Mac OS, as you can see there. No buttons pressed or anything. So we're just going to leave that run now to complete. And there we go, we're back at the login page. I'm just going to put my password in, the 1234. Put in whatever password you have made for your computer, or for your MacBook or your Mac, whatever it's called. And just leave this then cut to your main desktop. Again, it might take a second or two because we've got all those extra keks and everything like that. And there we have it. What we can actually do at this stage is also disconnect our USB stick. So I'm just going to eject that. So you right click and reject it. And we can pull that out now. So we do not need this anymore. And just to show you guys one more time, we'll go to About This Mac. And as you can see right here, we have definitely got our MacBook. It's the 2.5 quad core. This is obviously running Sonoma version 14.0. You might be on a slightly newer version like 14.1, 14.2, 3, 4, whatever it might be by the time you make this video. It's just the latest version that got pulled down, but everything is working. We have our Wi-Fi as well. Batteries all charging fine. Everything looks absolutely fine. And now you are ready to get on and use Sonoma on your MacBook, and it's fully supported. And one thing I'll just also mention too, if there are updates, so for example, if I go up here to my system settings, and let's say if I want to go to my actual just general down here, because it's a bit different, and we actually want to do a software update, we can actually install any updates that are available, and there isn't anything you need to worry about there. You don't need to reinstall anything or do anything. Everything will just work. So you can update to the latest version. That's one other thing I want to add there. And there we go. That is all set up and ready to go now. And there we go, guys. It's fully set up and ready. So it's really, really cool that we've got Sonoma on here, and it's quite snappy and quick. Now, one thing I would say, there are some apps out there what might not be fully compatible out of the box. So I don't know, maybe Office, Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, I don't know, Photoshop, other apps. Because this MacBook is not official, any older MacBooks meant to officially have the newest software on them, you may come across some problems. And I'll be honest with you guys, please don't email me and go, I'm stuck, I don't know how to install these things, Matt. I really wouldn't know myself. I would have to do the same research that you would have to do. But if you do find a solution to any softwares that are tricky to install, I don't know, maybe Photoshop, Premiere, or Office, or anything like that, please do put it down in the comments below of this video to help people out, because it'd be really, really good to get this community going still and helping all of us out and how to install everything. And the same thing as well, that if you get stuck with any of the installation steps, do leave messages in the sort of post down below in the comment section, and I'm sure people will be able to help you out in how to install Sonoma onto your machine. And with that too, guys, it's time to wrap up this video. So if you have enjoyed watching and it has been helpful for you, please make sure you like this video, and also at the same time as well, if you want to hear guides like this, reviews and comparisons, make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys, I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.